Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Toronto. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and we're underway in round number 9. Seth Manfield on the left against Craig Wescoe. Both players at 7-1. We've got Esper Dragons on the left there for Seth, and Craig Wescoe on Bant Aggro. So two decks on opposite ends of the spectrum here. What do you make of this matchup?
I'm really not sure what's going to be in Craig's deck as a Bant Aggro deck. I'm not sure if we're talking about Bant. It might be Bant Megamorph. I mean, Craig did top 16 the Pro Tour playing that deck. But it looks like he's got like Coursers and stuff in his deck, and Burmaz. So this is just a Bant Aggro deck. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something like a Johnny Steadfast in general.
I've been seeing those down there. Johnny Steadfast been popping up a little here and there.
Seems like it's really well positioned right now. Like better, maybe that's like overstating it, but it's definitely better positioned right now than it's ever been before.
Yeah, for a card that saw virtually no play since it's been printed, it's kind of cool to see a Planeswalker make an appearance this late in its life cycle.
Exactly. I mean, it's a card that, it just matches up so well against cards like Death Mist Raptor, and it also combos beautifully with something like Dragonlord Ojutai, where you give it Vigilance, First Strike, and Lifelink, then it still has Hexproof and just,
Oh yeah, I saw that in the feature match earlier. That's nasty. Good against everything. So both of these players are at 7-1, which means, of course, that they're both making it to day 2.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got a few other matches down in our feature match here we'll be keeping an eye on for you. A match to stay undefeated on day 1, which is a huge deal coming overnight, and also a match that's an elimination match that we'll be checking out.
All right, so here Craig getting off to a pretty aggressive start here against Seth. Now, he's got to worry about things like Crux of Fate and Perilous Vault. He doesn't want to overcommit too much to the board, but at the same time, you really need to apply enough pressure, because if you're not applying quick pressure, then instead of casting Crux of Fate, they just end up casting a Dragon, and you're in a rough spot anyway. Right,
and it looks like Craig recognized that and has, in fact, attempted to apply such pressure, but it's going to get dissolved by Seth Manfield. That was Burmaz, and Burmaz is not going to hit the battlefield here. So Craig is going to have to settle for 5. I got to think that we have the life totals backwards here.
Yes.
Can't imagine that Wescoe has taken any damage from those.
Yeah, now, if I'm Wescoe, I'm pretty happy to get my Burmaz dissolved there, because it means that I'm not really going to get blown out by Crux of Fate anywhere in the immediate future. But then again, I guess Seth might just have to preserve his life total. He doesn't really seem to have enough spot removal to really work his way up to that Crux. Something like a Johnny's Presence could be a huge blowout here for Craig if he's able to find a card like that. Right, so coming in for another 5 now. Starting to put Seth down to 7. Looks like Seth's got something though.
All right, so here's Foul Tongue Invocation now for Seth Manfield. He's making a bid to mitigate that board state of Craig Wescoe. He's also revealed Dragonlord Ojutai, which is going to net him 4 life on this transaction, and it's going to get rid of the Seeker as well. He'd love to get rid of that Fleecemane line before Craig has a chance to get up to 5 mana. As you know, we have seen Foul Tongue Invocation be one of the good answers to actually kill a Fleecemane. If you can find one later, he can still do it, but any creatures that Craig casts act as kind of a buffer against that.
Yeah, Foul Tongue Invocation is so good.
It's sweet.
It's pretty impressive to attach. 4 life is a lot to tack onto a card like that.
Yes.
And the fact that it deals with so many of the best threats in the format that used to be so very difficult to actually deal with. Just one of the premier cards from Dragons of Tarkir.
Yeah, and you see Burmaz making a comeback here, and that could be part of it, right? If you do get to attack with Burmaz, you get the extra token, which really mitigates what the Foul Tongue Invocation's doing. The life gain's still decent, but if it's not killing a real threat here, just a random token, it certainly suffers.
Now, Burmaz, definitely a strong card now. more so than before. I mean, the decks have changed. You know, we're seeing more Bile Blights, we're seeing Lightning Strikes, we're seeing a lot of cards that, you know, we weren't seeing before that Burmaz actually matches up very well against.
Unfortunately, Hero's Downfall is not one of them. As
it's
Hero's
a fine
Downfall,
trade.
yeah, it's
Still
fine
1
trade.
for 1.
Yeah,
Costs the same mana.
but Craig cannot seem to keep a Burmaz on the battlefield. One of them got dissolved, the other one got Hero's Downfallen, and back to Craig. Meanwhile, the Fleecemane line is just chipping away here. Seth Manfield down to 11, even after having gained 4.
I mean, he's going to have to find a board sweeper eventually, or at least more spot removal spells. I understand that Craig only has 1 guy, but it's unlikely he's going to pass the turn without applying additional pressure here. He may look for another card with Courser of Kruphix.
Yeah, it looks like he's deciding between Courser and a Seeker of the Way. He's going to take the Courser route here, revealing fairly miserable Elvish Mystic. He's going to gain an extra life, and I believe that he's also got himself a Den Protector in hand. So that's a nice recovery plan in the case that he does get, you know, sees a Crux of Fate or something along those lines here. But Craig is very all in. He has now put all but 1 card from his hand on the battlefield, almost daring Seth Manfield to sweep the board here. 1-for-1 removal spells are going to be a bit too slow in this scenario. The interesting thing is if something like if Seth were to play like a Dragonlord Ojutai, which we know he's got in his hand, if he plays a land and plays that gets kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, because I mean, Craig doesn't really have a good attack into that. And we know Seth has the Dragonlord Ojutai in his hand.
Right.
So this could get interesting. I mean, then again, Craig could just attack with Lion and Monstrous it. And that's a very good attack.
Yeah, that attack seems just fine here. It would buy Seth a little bit more time if that were the case. Seth's in the tank. He does have an untapped land in the form of an Urborg, and there it is. Dragonlord Ojutai has appeared. He is going to pass the turn back to Craig, who, like you mentioned, now has the 5 mana available to make Fleecemane Lion monstrous. So he's going to have a clean attack here with the Fleecemane, and if he wants,
he might even bring the other 2.
He could bring the other 2 in to get 2 extra damage in, but you know, he'd be giving up one of his creatures to do that.
I mean, he could, you know, always play the Windswept Heath first, see what the top card is, and then make his decision once he has maximum amount of information.
Right, he's going to do that. Oh, nice one, a Deathmist Raptor.
It is a very nice one here.
So this is pretty cool because now Craig Wescoe,
I mean,
that might as well be his name, Wescoe WG, but he does play a lot of that. But he now has a really solid recovery plan here with Den Protector and Deathmist Raptor at the ready.
Yeah, so gonna pick this up.
He's going to use black mana both on his Windswept Heath, and also he points out his Mana Confluence is going to use black mana from Urborg as well, so he doesn't take an additional damage. And he's going to Monstrous Fleecemane Lion, so that's going to drop Seth down to 4. And looks like Craig has decided if he'd like to play that elf.
Deciding whether or not it's worth it to do that.
Yeah, and he's decided that it in fact is. So now things get pretty rough for Seth Manfield because that whole Crux of Fate plan is pretty much off the table at this point. The Fleecemane Lion is now indestructible and will survive it, leaving just Dragonlord Ojutai back to chump block.
Yeah.
Not a great position here.
Not what you want to be doing with the Dragonlord Ojutai. Interesting question then, as a follow-up. Would you play Deathmist Raptor face down because it presents a lethal body? 4 power? Or do you just play it face up?
I mean, what's the downside of playing it face down? It still dies to Bile Blight, right? Either way. So yeah, you probably do play it face down.
Play it face down. Big mana commitment, but definitely worth it when you're able to just present lethal like that.
Yeah, but he's just not going to have to worry about it. I mean,
I don't think so.
Seth just doesn't have the time to, you know, because some of the sequences that you'll see in a situation like this would be Crux of Fate into Foul Tongue Invocation, but he just simply doesn't have the time to make that happen. He could technically pull that off, but he knows that Craig is going to draw the Deathmist Raptor, and that'll come down anyway. So looks like Seth is in a real bind here. He's got to leave back Dragonlord Ojutai and pass the turn. Craig has a lethal attack on board.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't imagine Craig doesn't just, you know, try to
Ship the team here.
do something big. I mean, he has to understand that, you know, what's happening in the long term. If you just attack with Fleecemane line, it's pretty safe though. That's kind of a nice play in some ways, but I would bring him all.
Yeah, get him in there.
Might as well.
I mean, the Fleecemane line must be blocked.
Absolutely.
So this forces Seth to also have a removal spell in addition, and even then he's going down to 1. All right, well now this could change things though. Here is a Foul Tongue Invocation, and Craig's sure happy he played that elf last turn because that's the only thing that's going to get eaten here. But that is going to bump Seth Manfield back up to 8 and allow him some pretty nice blocks. He can take out one of the other creatures if he wants and go to 2 here, but he gets rid of the Courser in this scenario. Still a tough spot though for Manfield. That monstrous Fleecemane line is just giving him fits here. Now, you know, a card like Dragonlord Silumgar, right, play that. And now he's pretty stable. Problem, of course, is that Craig Wescoe has follow-up plays now.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. I mean,
yeah.
Craig's about to play a Death Mist Raptor, perhaps. He might even just play Den Protector, but I feel like Death Mist Raptor is just better here.
He's going to play... Ooh, Silumgar Scorn is going to hit Death Mist Raptor here. Is this going to prompt Craig to go ahead and commit even more to the board?
That's a good question. It depends how many cards Seth has left in his hand. It looks like Seth is hellbent at this point.
Oh, is he? He does have 6 mana available. If Craig commits here, which he does, then he plays, you know, like even if Seth were to draw a card like Silumgar, the Drifting Death, Craig would still have lethal through that. I see a card there. There is a card, in fact, in hand for Manfield as well.
Okay. Single card left.
This is a moment of truth for Manfield.
It was pretty nice that Craig was able to sneak that in under Counter Magic because Den Protector does a ton of value in this spot.
Yeah.
It's just returning a Raptor.
Perfect follow-up play
Yeah,
to a counter Raptor here. Yeah.
Lethal. Yeah.
By the way.
Just so good.
He's going to dig through time here to try to find something. So let's see what Seth Manfield can come up with.
Yeah, so I'm going to look at the top 7 here. He's going to play a, hopefully a land and a Crux of Fate. But then still he's in
that would let him chump block?
Yeah. But does he really have much else?
Well, you know, he could go land Crux of Fate.
And then have Foul Tongue following turn or something.
Foul Tongue or Silumgar. I mean, there are possible sequences here that could work out for him, but they do feel pretty unlikely. He's felt behind, though, this whole entire game. You know, Seth he has been on his back heels, Craig Wescoe, right where he wants to be, beating down. And he's had consistent waves of pressure here.
I like Craig's deck quite a bit. I mean, he's just, instead of playing the Bat Megamorph deck, which he did tremendously well with at the Pro Tour, by the way, he reduced it down to a green-white shell.
That Bat Megamorph deck was just splashing blue anyway, right?
Yeah, it was Dragonlords, right?
Dragonlord Ojutai, and I think Stratus Dancer made an appearance occasionally.
It was like a 2-of or something to do 1-of.
Yeah. There's the Crux. Okay, so it does look like Seth Manfield is going to survive a turn here, though his next draw steps are going to have immense pressure on them. But that was huge. You know, that actually kept Seth alive, and it puts a lot of pressure on Craig Wescoe's draw step, too. Here, like, if he just bricks a couple of times, and I'm sure that's what Seth was thinking, just brick a couple of times, please, and he hasn't at all. Craig Wescoe keeping the pressure up.
Yeah,
and he finds another Fleecemane line, both lethal. And here, this is where, you know, we were talking about Silumgar, the Drifting Death coming down and potentially stabilizing. Won't do it anymore.
And now he needs something like Dragonlord Silumgar if he wants to stabilize.
Does he have it? No, this is 5 mana.
It doesn't look like that's going to be a possibility. Yeah, and that's essentially a concession, the dig there.
Well, yeah, it basically is, right? Because he could find a Bile Blight, but it doesn't work out the way.
Foul Tongue, reveal a dragon.
Okay, and that would
Right.
put him up to 6. He would take 4 and get himself a draw step. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, it didn't happen. Seth Manfield falls to Craig Wescoe, and Craig just kind of put a thumping on him. I mean, you know, Seth did his best to try to survive as long as possible, but Craig was really in the driver's seat for the duration of that game, and
Really well
he's going to
played
pick
by
it up.
Craig, too.
Yeah, it was great.
You know, manipulating when the counter magic could be played, when it couldn't. You know, recognizing that he didn't have the opportunity to play around Wraths. Just tight play there from Craig Wescoe. Even had some odd draw steps, like the Elvish, that ended up working out pretty well for him. The Elvish Mystic off the top seemed like it was probably the worst card in his deck that he could have drawn, but then it ended up defending him from that Foul Tongue invocation, and turned out to be pretty decent.
And he earns the victory there, at least in the first game. We'll jump over to our side match where we have Mauro Marino versus James Ray. Now this is the battle of the undefeateds here, Jake. These players are looking to be the only, I believe the only 9-0. There might actually be one other undefeated match going, but coming in overnight here,
Yeah,
these players are looking to be undefeated. One of
James Ray has to be pretty happy about playing against mono red with a Naya Heroic deck here playing for 9-0. I mean, when you think about it, you're playing Naya Heroic, you're playing Seeker of the Way alongside, you know, things like Dramoka's Command, and that seems pretty good against a red deck.
Yeah, you get those main deck cards that are really randomly good.
Even Favored Hoplite, like now, you know, what's Mauro gonna do? Like, is it like he has to play around things like Defiant Strike? It's pretty rough for him. James Ray, really excited about looking at all these cards. He has Titan Strength in his deck.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say. I mean, he's on Naya Heroic and he's on Plains here. So, is this an issue?
Probably, yeah.
Feels like it might be an issue.
He did just search out that second Plains with Windswept Thief, though.
I know.
It's kind of surprising.
Right. He's got a God's Willing in his hand there.
It looks like he has green cards too, though.
Here comes a Monastery Swiftspear now for Mauro. Playing a Tarka Red. That's, of course, the deck that won the Pro Tour just a few weeks ago in Belgium.
So you want to know something really, really exciting?
I do.
Do you want to know what card is in James Ray's hands?
Yes.
Temur Battle Rage.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Big finish?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Straight out. Has the...
I'm
sure he has Become Immense in his deck.
Oh,
like,
just combo off on people?
Did you get him?
That's sweet. Yeah, and he's got a lot of ways to protect that too. That's pretty cool. I like that combo finish.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Meanwhile, Mauro does not look phased here. I think he's lining up a big attack, and he is, in fact. The team is coming in. Biggest threat there is the Rabble Master, and it's going to get blocked. Favorite Hoplite looks like it's going to be the recipient of a God's Willing here with protection from red, which is kind of redundant here. It's going to pick up the counter and eat the Goblin Rabble Master, but that's not before damage here.
And there's still another Rabble Master, or no, there's not, never mind.
It took 5.
Yeah,
Ouch.
it was been stuck on 2 lands in this spot. He has Become Immense, Temur Battle Rage in his hand,
Yeah,
2
he actually
Plains.
took 6 that turn. Yeah, wow. So big beatings here, and James Ray still on the double Plains, and Mauro unfazed is going to just rumble into the red zone for the full amount here.
Yeah, so, I mean...
This should do it. Like, just blocking one.
I mean, it's 7. Still 7.
Well, it's 6 as it sits, if he blocks Zergo.
I thought he was blocking Swiftspear.
I don't think he did. Though maybe he did. We'll find out. There's still a flurry of activity here.
Oh. So, is that what is that? It's I think is it
Mortal's Ardor?
Mortal's Ardor. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, James able to, stay alive here.
Yeah, so he gets a whole lot extra from it. He gets +1/+1 lifelink until end of turn, and the creature is already protected. Why don't we jump back over to our other match here, as that one is back underway. We'll keep you updated on how that match is going. Looks like there's a Thoughtseize happening here.
Ooh, and Craig has Collected Company in his deck. That seems pretty exciting.
We've seen that in the feature match area earlier today too, and it tried to do work.
Yeah, I mean,
It didn't end up working out. But
was it in the green devotion deck, like the aggro devotion?
No devotion.
Like no Aspect of Hydra?
Well, it had. Sorry, I shouldn't say no devotion. It didn't have Nykthos. Like it wasn't trying to make a bunch of mana. But yes, it was in the green deck that was running the Collective Company to make. Well, most of the. I think all the creatures. No. No, wasn't running that one.
That deck was sweet though, didn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
So instead,
very well the Pro Tour.
Yeah, the player who was playing it decided to play the 2/3. That if you reveal a dragon, it gets a +1/+1 counter instead of the avatars.
Okay.
We asked why, because when you're playing cards like Aspect of Hydra, you'd think you'd want that trample.
Yeah.
Card can just get big. It's got an extra point of power, which you normally would prioritize.
Yeah. Especially if
he said it was better against
like Reverend Hunter and stuff.
Reverend Hunter's in the deck. I don't know. He said he thought it might be better against mono red to have the extra point of toughness. So,
as a mono green like aggro devotion deck though, that's really the best place for a Nylea's Disciple to shine. So I feel like you kind of have that edge already. If it were me, I would have gone with the avatars.
I would too.
Craig had his Mastery Thoughtseize, which is kind of a shame because when you're playing against a deck like Escort Dragons, Mastery of the Unseen is pretty good. They need a Perilous Vault. And the other thing that's nice about a card like Mastery of the Unseen when you're playing against this Escort Dragons deck is that you don't need to do anything else.
That's right.
You can just sit there and do that till the cows come home.
Yep.
And they're going to be, the onus is on them to do something about it, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great. Especially for just a 2-mana spell that's normally quite easy to resolve if you can play it in the early stages. But yeah, it gets Thoughtseized away here. Morph into the red zone. Manfield down to 16. And Wesco just passes here?
Interesting. So what do you think he's representing?
Well, I don't know. I thought I saw him make the hand motion, but nothing's happened on Seth's side. No, he did pass. All right, so does Craig have Collective Company? What instance does Craig have that he can use to add to the board here?
He does have Collective Company.
Does he really?
He must.
We were just talking about it.
Yeah, we were talking about it.
It makes some sense.
I think the reason we were talking about it is because I must have seen it in his hand.
Okay. I mean, we got deck lists there, right? Right there. Yep, that's the one.
Yes, we did.
Take a gander there.
Collected Company.
4 in the main.
Awesome.
And there's one right now. So he's able to take the fight to Seth Manfield on Seth's turn and kind of force Seth to react now and use up his mana now.
And that seems great. I mean, it's so good. It's why Boonsater was so good against these control decks. It's an instant speed way to interact with them, and it applies a huge amount of pressure. So Seth right here, he's in a rough spot. Like he basically has to counter this, right?
And then Craig gets to untap and kind of have his way with him. So we'll see what Seth wants to do about this. He's going to start by cracking a Polluted Delta.
And if Craig gets to untap after that, Craig might be just flipping up this Morph, and it's a Den Protector, and then he gets the Collected Company back. And then again,
what about getting the Mastery back? He can cast it that turn too.
Yeah, that's probably even better.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is actually a big sequence here for how this game is going to play out long term. And it looks like Silumgar Scorn is going to take care of it, but that does leave the shields down here for Manfield, because he doesn't have the mana to play counterspells at this point. So Craig Wesco could pretty easily get in for 3 and play a Mastery of the Unseen this turn if he wants. It's got to be tempting if you're in Craig Wesco's seat.
Absolutely.
And a lot of credit to Collective Company there. It really drew the respect of Seth Manfield on the end step and has opened up this door for Craig.
Yeah, Collective Company is a card that I was very excited about going into Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. I thought it was going to be a bigger splash than it did, actually. I still think it has a lot of implications for Constructed Magic. I think it's going to become a big player in Modern, even.
Well, it looks like Craig has decided just to hit for 2, so the plan is not to flip up his Morph here. He's got a Brimaz in his hand.
It should be. I guarantee I'd be more damage myself this game than you do.
So, yeah, he's just going to go ahead and use the Brimaz.
Yeah, he's going to play a Brimaz and just passive turn back here. He still has the opportunity to flip up that Den Protector. It is a Den Protector, right?
Maybe it's like a Raptor. Maybe we don't know what it is.
Okay.
We do not know for certain. Right now, it seems that it probably is not, right?
It does.
Then again, I mean, he would be using his mana most efficiently right now.
He would be. That is true. It's just that you got to think he's got to prioritize. If he has well, not damage. I was going to say the mastery. Like if he has the opportunity to get mastery, isn't that just a game changer for him?
It's not the same as it used to be.
Okay.
They have dragons now.
Okay, so they can just close out on you.
Yeah, they just play a dragon, and then like you can't attack with all these tutus. And
okay. And it ends up being too slow.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think just using your mana really efficiently is smart.
Okay.
I would be surprised if it was Den Protector simply because he could have gotten an extra damage and maybe return Collecting Company. And if he's returning Collecting Companies to his hand, he can just start doing some really cool things. Like you force it so that Seth, can't really tap out on his turn because then he'll just get punished by Collecting Company and possibly lose the game as a result. Still no flip here from Craig.
But this Morph is just chipping away.
It may just be... Did he only have Plains Forest in play when he cast it? Maybe he just didn't have double green for Death Mist Raptor?
Possible.
Seems like it's definitely a possibility here.
Craig is just shipping the turn back, but it looks like we're going to see a dig through time or maybe it's a dig here. So this is a big sequence for Seth here, right? Yeah, he gets to now turn the corner. And when you're sitting across from a player playing dig through time, that first one is like, it just feels like their win percentage goes up 20% or something when they resolve it. And it usually snowballs from there too. Like it's not only bad, it tends to get worse. So this could be huge for Seth to try to even things up. The second one feels like it's lights out, right? Yeah.
Right, so I'm pretty sure this is probably a Raptor at this point.
Yep.
I guess it just has to be. Craig with that Collecting Company in hand.
All right, so Dragonlord Ojutai has joined the fray. And I believe there's another Collective Company in hand for Wesco.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's got an opportunity to resolve this.
Yeah. See one of the big strengths of Dragonlord Ojutai. So much great text on there. Also just a very good blocker, right? Like sometimes that thing just holds back.
Is he going to get Raptors? Because Raptors are really, really good.
Yeah. There's one. And I saw a Den Protector at the back as well. So we're getting value. The question is just how much.
That's a lot.
Instant speed, 6 mana worth of cards for 4 mana. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and
you build these decks around Collective Company, and the thing does a lot of work. And now he even gets to use Flooded Strand to shuffle away a forest that he didn't want to draw anyway. This is all on end step. I mean,
yeah.
This is your green-white aggro deck. Just working the phase ladder here and doing all this great stuff on your opponent's end step. Not what you expect. You think just, oh, you're going to play a bunch of creatures and beat down, but this thing's got some game. And bang, Den Protector right on top as well.
Another very, very good one here.
Whoa, Boone Satyr too.
And Boone Satyr,
There's two of those in the sideboard here for Craig.
Yeah, this is definitely the matchup where they're at their best. And that card combos very nicely with Den Protector because it essentially makes it unblockable.
Yeah, oh,
You know,
totally.
You put, it just
ends up
becomes
being
a
6.
7 power guy if you've megamorphed
If you've
it.
megamorphed it at 7,
Yeah, so
there's
like,
just nothing that blocks that.
I lost a game at a tournament that I played recently where I was playing Esper Dragons where my opponent flipped up a morph, returned a Boone Satyr to their hand, and then
slapped it down
slapped
and
it
went.
down on the guy and attacked me for 7, and I just died out of nowhere.
Yeah. We saw that also with that mono green deck we were mentioning earlier, the aspect of Hydra, you know, pre-combat, just hit it on my Den Protector, 7/7, it's an 8/8, hit you. Mono green deck's not known for having a lot of, you know, red style reach, but you can make it work with Den Protector. That extra text is a big deal.
It's really good at applying pressure to planeswalkers too.
Yes. Runs right
Always
past
attack
Elspeth
with the
tokens.
Elspeth,
See you later. So it looks like both well, we're assuming that morph is a Death Mist Raptor. They're both into the red zone, unblocked, unflipped, and then a Megamorph is played face down, assuming that's the Den Protector that Craig just had.
There's the numbered morphs.
I like that.
It's 2i.
And Dragonlord Ojutai cracks into the red zone. Remember, Seth Manfield has resolved the dig through time, and now this is going to be a Dragonlord Ojutai trigger as well as Craig takes the damage. So Seth has seen a lot. I mean, over the last 2 draw steps, he's seen like 15 cards total, right?
I'd be pretty surprised if he hadn't at this point found something like Crux of Fate, which would be pretty good here. But then again,
Make that 12, by the way. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be that insane. Like, I think Craig is almost producing more card advantage than Seth is, just off of things like Collected Company getting 2-for-1s, finding lands on top of Courser. You know, just all of these tiny little advantages that he's eking out. Now he has, you know, Den Protectors face down. He has these Death Mist Raptors, which can potentially loop here.
But Crux would be nice here, right? I mean, that would just wipe away.
Pretty much everything, yeah. I mean, Craig would just have to flip something up and...
Yeah, down the line here.
But then Craig does get a pair of Death Mist Raptors in the bin, and then on his next turn, he can just, you know, cast the Den Protector, flip it right back up.
Yeah, I'm curious if he kept that last Den Protector in his hand here.
I can't imagine that he would not have, to be honest.
Got a couple of cards.
This is interesting.
Has Seth just said go?
Yeah, that's what's kind of blowing my mind here.
All right, there's that Den Protector. It's going to go face up. And Craig's going to decide what he wants to get back. Looking like he's thumbing that Collective Company. No, he's going to go for Mastery now. So he's sort of transitioning into this later game in case this plan doesn't work.
And Mastery seems like a pretty good choice here because now, you know, your opponent doesn't really want to use Perilous Vault to kill their own Dragonlord Ojutai. And at the same time, like if your opponent does do something like Crux of Fate, you can just grind them out with it.
And I'm assuming that Seth has no Perilous Vaults in his list. Right? I mean, this Dragon's deck
like
generally doesn't run that.
Yeah, sometimes they have like one on the board, but
does he have one?
It doesn't look like
Doesn't
he
have
does.
one. All right.
Yeah, so very smart by Craig here. What did Craig end up returning with Den Protector?
He got back Mastery.
Mastery, yes. Okay. So he gets Boone Satyr in the graveyard also.
Boone Satyr's on top of his library, so he'll be drawing that. And there's Foul Tongue Invocation for Seth. Not the ideal tool here to combat the kind of shenanigans that Craig Wescoe has going. He can generate a lot of advantage here.
Yeah, I think he's
Just put a Death Mist Raptor safely in his graveyard here.
Yeah, I guess he's just going to sacrifice.
He's going to get rid of the other Death Mist. That's the one that from the
smaller
beginning
one.
of the game. Yeah. The 2/2. That is going to bump Seth Manfield up 4 life, though, so...
He's at 11.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's still dead to that Boon Satyr, but I don't think he's going to just die to it. He's certainly got some other tricks up his sleeve, right?
Right. Oh, totally. He might even just have another invocation. Wow, he does. So this thing's just whittling away at Craig Wesco's board, but also giving Seth Manfield 8 life just in this one sequence here. And Craig's happy to have another Death Miss Raptor.
I don't think this
in
is
the
bad
board.
for Craig. I mean, Craig just sacrifices 2 Death Miss Raptors, and I mean, Seth just, casts 2 Gain Force, essentially. And I guess they're Gain 7s because he doesn't have to take, that much damage. But, Heroes Reunion is not the most exciting card in the universe. I think Craig is outcarding him by a significant margin at this point.
Yeah, that Den Protector in hand for Craig is just going to loop together, get him back another powerhouse play. You can either get a Collective Company or a Brimaz, and he's going to get both of the Death Miss Raptors back as well. You see that Seth Manfield does not have Silumgar Scorn mana available up there either. So Craig can just grind. I mean, this is what Death Miss Raptor was designed to do.
And that's one of the great things about Collected Company is that it lets you find like additional copies of Death Miss Raptor. And when you have more than one Death Miss Raptor looping, it gets pretty out of control.
It does. It's a little slow, but it gets the job done. And you can see that here, like you said.
It's much faster when you have the Collected Companies to find them in multiples. So.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, that didn't look like a good sequence for Craig when he got 2 creatures killed and his opponent gained 8 life, but I don't think he's concerned about it. All right, back to Seth Manfield. Immediately rumbles with Dragonlord Ojutai. Now he, interestingly, does have Craig Wesco on a bit of a clock here. He's got him down to 9 now, so 2 more turns of just sort of hanging around and not dying could seal the deal.
And Dragonlord Ojutai is a very, very powerful card.
Yeah, super fast clock.
Ends games quickly, finds you all the cards you need.
Can it get the job done here and even things up in favor of Seth Manfield?
That's the big question.
It feels like he's behind, but here's Crux of Fate, which is going to definitely put a big dent in the plans again of Wesco. And this is, I think this is the really interesting discussion point that we raise here, right? Is, so this isn't a good long-term solution for what Craig's doing, right? This is not going to get the job done long-term, but this is going to make Craig spin his wheels and cast some stuff and unmorph some stuff and get some guys back and kind of do this for a while. And it's going to take him a while to get back on his feet. And he only has 2 turns, like unless he has an answer for Ojutai or unless he can get that mastery going and start gaining a whole bunch of life. And with no creatures to start with, that takes a while too. So
yeah, it takes some time to set that up.
So Seth has effectively turned this into a tempo game.
Yeah.
Where he's just trying to ride Dragonlord Ojutai to the finish and just keep Craig Wesco from assembling much of a board. Even though, look, if this game were to go on 10 more turns or whatever, Wesco could re-loop that board like 3 times.
Absolutely.
This is going to be interesting.
I think at this point, Seth's looking he's in a pretty good spot. It's very good of him to have that patience with the Crux of Fate there.
All right, so here's Wesco.
Reunions turned out to be crucial to victory.
I mean, this is going to be super close though, right? Because right now Manfield's at 10. If that thing's a 3-power morph and gets flipped up, that'll bring back the Death Miss Raptors, which he can do face up. And then the Boon Satyr could be lethal, but Seth also has cards in hand, so he might be able to interrupt. It's going to be that close.
He's got plenty to do with the cards in his hand because, I mean, he's been attacking with Dragonlord Ojutai now. It's hit twice. That's 2 free anticipates to go with a Dig Through Time.
Yep.
It's basically like he's cast Dig Through Time twice now already.
Right. Okay, Den Protector up.
I like this play. So he's flipping it up main phase. That'll allow him to return Windswept Heath to his hand, I believe.
Heath indeed, play it. Play it, crack it.
And then this
Take a look at Craig.
It's going to allow him to play another threat to the board now. Seth could just, you know, have more, which is likely considering the Dragonlord Ojutai continues to hit.
So I think he put one of the Death Mist Raptors face down there at the end. One of them face up, off of the Den Protector getting flipped up. And then, like you said, he got the land so that he could flip. And you can see Seth Manfield, he knows what his game plan is. Hit you with this, find something to keep you from killing me this turn, and then hit you with it one more time and force a game 3.
And now, this game has really illustrated just how absurdly powerful Dragonlord Ojutai is.
I agree.
I mean, it just
Like with
does
all this
everything.
stuff that Craig's
it locks
doing.
the game up. Craig did absurd things this game and essentially just lost to a single card.
Well, now it's
and
not
then-
over quite yet here, buddy.
Well, yeah, I mean, hypothetically could be losing to a single card. It's very close.
I mean, I would say that if I had to guess that this would be Seth Manfield's game with that many cards in his hand, you got to figure he could take less than 10 damage in this next sequence.
And it looks like he's got another Crux, and I mean, Crux of Fate when you have Dragonlord Ojutai in play. I don't know if you've done it.
Oh, I've done it.
Oh, it's fun.
I've done it many times.
Yes, it is. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's not a Crux. It doesn't look like it.
It's a Bile Blight, and you can see why Craig Wesco played one of his Death Mist Raptors face down. Nice play there from Craig. And you see what Manfield's doing. He's taking out which looks like is actually his least potent threat, but it's the one that can get him above 5 life potentially here.
Yeah.
And and now he's really put it on Craig, who has exactly 10 power as the board sits. That's discounting what's in his hand, and we do know, and so does Seth, that he's got the Boon Satyr, and Seth's at 11, so it forces Craig to do something else to get this job done.
Eric Severson and James Ray to the main stage.
This has been a properly close game.
James Ray and Eric
This is super
Severson
interesting.
to
Oh
the main
man, so
stage.
if Craig's able to resolve Mastery of the Unseen, then he can, if then he flips up this Death Mist Raptor,
Yeah,
then he goes above 5.
he does.
So there are some interesting angles
There's
going
some
on
great
here.
stuff here. This is fantastic.
This is a sweet game. I didn't think we'd make it this deep.
I didn't either. This is fantastic stuff.
Then again, if that play would work, then the Boon Satyr play would just win the game. So you might as well go for the Boon Satyr play, right?
I'm on board. So Boon Satyr goes on Death Mist Raptor, and what does Seth have to answer this? Silumgar's Scorn should counter it,
Ray, the main stage.
and that's it.
Ray,
Craig Wesco has to scoop him up, and Seth Manfield maneuvered that game beautifully. He recognized, pretty much in the mid to early stages that Ojutai is my win condition. I need to hit every turn for the next 4 turns with this thing, and I need to keep him from killing me. Crafted his hand around it and rode Ojutai to victory. It's just not a look that you see from control decks that often, where they can just turn the corner on you and be like, all right, you got a 4-turn clock on you now, and I'm going to leverage my cards to make that happen, as opposed to the normal line, which is, look, you've got as much time as you need. I'm going to leverage my cards to just try to make this game go longer.
Yeah, and eventually you'll run out, and
Yes.
then I'll win.
And then I'll win.
Because I cast stick through time and you don't.
Right.
But here, Seth just turned that table because the whole, Craig's whole plan against control is, oh, you want to play that game? Okay, I have Death Mist Raptors, I have Den Protectors, I've Collected Company. I can grind you out, I can out-card you. Even if you're drawing 2 cards a turn, I can be out-carding you. But I probably can't rate this a 5-power flyer.
What's going on in our other match? Did that one end up ending while we were over here? What was the result? We'll get the result for you in a moment here. I promised an update, so I want to make sure that people know who won.
I'm interested to see if that Naya Heroic deck won.
Yeah,
I would be
versus the red
surprised
deck,
if
yeah.
it lost to the red deck, actually.
I would too, though. He did look pretty far behind.
Well, in game 2, certainly.
Yeah, but the Mortal's Ardor might have saved him. Didn't think I was going to say that this weekend. Here we
I don't
are.
think the Mortals Ardor saved him in game 2.
Yeah, probably
I
not.
think game 3 though seems like a pretty good matchup. I mean that was like turn 6 and he had plains in play in his 3-color deck. So I'd like to believe this deck's capable of better.
All right, nice start here from Wesco. He gets the turn 1 play into the turn 2 play here. Ward on the first tree, right into Fleece Main Line. and he's just going to put it right to Seth Manfield. And you know, you mentioned it earlier that Craig's really great at maneuvering around counterspells and such, and Seth Manfield is certainly representing Silumgar's Scorn here. But Craig just doesn't really need to add to the board. The Naya Heroic deck won. It did win.
Yeah, 9-0, Naya Heroic.
That is overnight 9-0. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice work for.
Become Immense Teamer Battle Rage. Something I sleeve up for 2-man events on Magic Online pretty regularly.
Oh yeah.
If I want a quick one before bed, it's Teamer Battle Rage.
Just get one in.
Become Immense. It's so much fun.
I like it. All right, so Wesco's going to rumble for 4 and then follow up with Secret of the Way. I hear the time of the rounds being called on the loudspeakers, but our feature match area has a different timer, so they won't necessarily be under the same restrictions. It does mean that they're getting there, though.
Once all results are in, we will post the standings after this 9th round. Once those have been posted for 3 minutes, those standings will become final. If you have any questions or concerns,
here comes the team here for Craig Wesco.
you need to bring up any discrepancies.
He passes priority, and Hero's Downfall is going to take care of the Fleece main line, but that does mean that the Warden of the First Tree can get pumped up to 3. Or Valorous Stance can save the Fleece main and pump the Seeker. Whoa.
Yeah, that's a strong play there.
7
Craig.
damage there. Big tempo swing here for Wesco, who doesn't have a 3rd mana for the last couple of turns, but doesn't seem to need it either.
Yeah, he currently has 8 points of power on the table, and Seth Manfield is at 8.
Well, he hasn't actually pumped the Warden yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, but
You're saying he could?
yeah, he could.
Yeah. Passes a turn back to Wesco. Is this going to be a quick game 3 here in favor of Craig Wesco, the Pro Tour champ? Seth Manfield, 3-time GP winner. He does not go down without a fight. There's no doubt about that. So Wesco's going to rumble here. And does he just go for it? Does he just content to hit here for 5 or 6 damage, excuse me, and make Seth react? Yes, he is. So Seth falls down to 2. And there's that 3rd land for Wesco, though he doesn't have any incentive to play another creature because it's very possible that Seth Manfield simply plays Crux, but he doesn't have it. He has to extend the hand. And Craig Wesco defeats Seth Manfield 2 games to 1.
Yeah,
he is going to be
8-1
8-1 overnight, but Seth Manfield fans, don't fret. He'll be here tomorrow too.
This deck that Craig